guys, it's Ruthie with the Popple Backyard Farm. We're going to be doing a review from my inductive study Bible, which I've been reading each chapter about 20 times. And this is what I got from that study that I think you may enjoy. Okay, Genesis 5 is a genealogy. Now, some people hate genealogies. I personally love them. And I think a lot of it is reading your Bible, getting familiar with the names and things, and listening to teachings and such on these types of things. I want to highly recommend that as you study through your Bible, you for free can listen to various good ministers on each chapter. What I do is I will type in YouTube Calvary Chapel Genesis chapter 5, okay? And then there'll be a ton of different Calvary Chapels underneath that, because they usually do expository teaching, which is going verse by verse through the Bible. Sometimes I might type in Baptist. Then I'll type in Genesis chapter 5. And if you have a minister like Chuck Missler, Genesis chapter 5. But Calvary Chapels and Baptists will usually give you a whole bunch of different options to listen and find out who you like and things. I usually like to listen to Skip Heitzig, David Guzik. Those guys there usually have good, solid teaching as you go through your Bible. Now, let me share some of the things that I picked up as I was reading from my inductive study. Well, first of all, in Genesis 5, the people's ages and stuff are going, you're going to hear about long lives and things here. Okay, this is where you see the first time someone has ever been raptured, which is Enoch. Now, Enoch was actually talked about in the book of Jude. He preached about the second coming of Jesus. You can read about him in the book of Jude. It is the book right before Revelation. It's only like one chapter, but it's pretty interesting. And so something happened to him. Let's see if I can find okay, Enoch lived, where am I? Okay, here he is. Enoch. When he had a kid, when he had Methuselah, something happened to him. I'm not exactly sure. He just looks like possibly. I shouldn't say it did. Possibly, because it looks like it says, and he walked with God. And after he begot Methuselah, 300 years and begot sons and daughters. So it looks like maybe just, the birth of this child, And he had a close fellowship with God, and all the days of Enoch were 365 years. And Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. Which gives me the impression that people were looking for him, and they couldn't find him, because he all of a sudden was gone. So I'm not exactly sure how that happened. I don't know if people saw him, people didn't see him, but it says that God took him. I know that when Jesus went up to heaven, that people did see him, but I'm not sure how this all happened. Now, his son, Methuselah, this is an interesting study. You're going to have to do some research if you want to get into this study. But I think Chuck Missler has things to say on this. That like when he dies, the judgment will come, which was the flood. So people would want to keep that baby alive for a long time. But as we see, we're going to get down into Noah. Now, a lot of these guys were living at the same time because they were living 900 years. So some of these guys, it wasn't like with us because of our lifespans, like some of these guys like knew each other, that, you know, like maybe Adam knew Noah. I don't know, but these lifespans, some of them were overlapping. Now, when he was born, I always thought this was interesting. People were saying that he was going to comfort them. So they probably heard stories about how great life was in the Garden of Eden, and now all of a sudden the ground is cursed and different things like that. And so they felt like he was going to comfort them, but it's also, you know, it's just an interesting thing. And then, but also too, we have Methuselah dying, which would mean the flood would come. So it's all pretty interesting. But so these genealogies can be quite interesting, especially if you find different people in them and can, you know, remember stories or things about them. Like Seth means appointed, which is interesting. And you're going to see like godly lines, evil lines of people, you know, their different descendants and things that happen. So, you know, don't skip over genealogies, because through the years you're going to regret it, because the more you learn, the more you're going to start noticing names and picking out names. And genealogies are different because they're not exactly always, how do I put it, in order. Things can be like, you know, ages of people and things like that. There's a lot of different changes there, and you'd have to do a lot of study on that too. But it is definitely an interesting thing. And to the Jewish people, genealogies are real important, because it talks about, it will tell them if they own property, if they're in the priestly line. You'll see some of this in Ezra and Nehemiah. And of course, in the end times, God is going to know exactly who's in each tribe, because he's going to have the 144,000 Jewish people that are going to be preaching the gospel. And he knows exactly. There are no lost tribes. He knows exactly where each person is. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it was, you know, increased your faith in God. And I will see you in my next video. God bless.